There are 23 devil fruits that are practically weak, but have very strong users, including a devil fruit that was way weaker than you'd expect. But the user was so strong, they even became one of the legendary marines. There's also a Cracker, who's literally a goddamn biscuit, but still is easily strong, with a massive bounty of 800 million berries. There's even a member of the worst generation, whose devil fruit powers are literally useless, because this character is so strong that he doesn't even need them, and that is Killer. This guy ended up with what might be the weakest devil fruit ever because it just made him laugh non-stop. To make it worse, it's not even a real devil fruit, it's an artificial one created by Caesar Clown. Yet Killer is seriously strong, and probably one of the most underrated characters in the series. Like back in chapter 504, he showed off his unshakable willpower when Rayleigh's Haoshoku Haki didn't even faze him. During the Wano arc, Killer was able to hit Kaido hard enough to make him feel damage. And let's not forget when he defeated another worst generation member, Basil Hawkins. This guy was no pushover, especially with his Wara Wara no Mi, which he used against Killer by linking Kid's life to his own. So every time Killer hurt Hawkins, the damage went straight to Kid instead. But did that stop Killer? No. Well, maybe for just a second, but Killer outplayed Hawkins by targeting his left arm, because Kid doesn't have a left arm. In the end, Killer outsmarted and took down Hawkins. Beside Killer's smile, there's another devil fruit that would be completely useless if a human ate it. Chopper's Hito Hito no Mi. Sure, it's not much use for humans, yet Chopper pulled off the impossible, pushing this devil fruit to levels no one could have imagined. But what exactly happens if a person really eats this devil fruit? According to Oda in SBS Volume 20, if a human eats the Hito Hito no Mi, they'll simply become human. It's like they'll find their true selves or start living more like a regular person. So yeah, it's still pretty weak, unless it gets awakened like Luffy's devil fruit, which turned him into an actual god. That's why there are so many theories that Chopper's devil fruit might be the reason Blackbeard went to Drum Island. Maybe he knows that all Hito Hito no Mi have the power of gods in them. It's possible he wanted it for himself. Or maybe he planned to give it to one of his crew members. Or who knows, maybe even make a random animal eat it. But Chopper ate the devil fruit and actually made it 10 times stronger with the help of drugs. Seriously, little bro just created drugs called Rumble Balls. And after 5 years of research, Chopper did the impossible. He broke past the transformation limits of any Zoan devil fruit. If you didn't know, Zoans typically have 3 forms, but Chopper surpassed that and unlocked 7 transformations. Each form has its unique strength. Take Guard Point, for example. This form wraps Chopper in thick, protective fur, making him nearly impenetrable against most attacks. But even this tough defense has its limits. Like super powerful hits can still break through, and since it's fur, fire is his ultimate weakness. Still, it's strong enough to block Big Mom's attack when she tried to crush Nami. Chopper's other powerful forms include Horn Point and Arm Point. And during the time skip, he added even more transformations, like Kung Fu Point. But Chopper's most dangerous form happens when he eats 3 Rumble Balls, unleashing Monster Point. At first, Monster Point was so powerful that Chopper couldn't even control it, but he still managed to defeat one of the strongest agents in CP9, Kumadori. After the time skip, though Chopper learned to control it, and with Caesar's help, he even extended its duration up to 30 minutes. Chopper used Monster Point against one of Kaido's top commanders, Queen, and even managed to slap him in the face. And bro didn't stop there. Chopper actually lifted Queen and wrestled him. Despite all these improvements, the Rumble Balls still have some side effects. After using them, Chopper shrinks down to a tiny baby-like form called Baby Gigi, aka Baby Geezer. In this form, he's so small he can fit in someone's hand and even talks like your grandpa. The effect lasts about 15 minutes. And you know what's even weaker than Chopper's Hito Hito no Mi? A Zoan devil fruit that can turn its user into an egg. So Tamago ate the Tamatama no Mi, aka the egg fruit. It's weak because, eggs are fragile, which was proven when Pedro one-shot Tamago. But this fruit actually gets more broken when it's broken. You feel me? Let me explain. When Tamago's shell cracks, he regenerates from the yolk and evolves into a stronger form. He goes through 3 forms in total, and each time he breaks and regenerates, he gets tougher and more dangerous. First, he's Baron Tamago, his normal version. Then he becomes Viscount Hiyoko, where he looks like a chick. And finally, he evolves into Count Niwatori, fully transforming into a rooster. The only problem is, if his strongest form gets defeated, Tamago reverts back to his base form, and the whole process starts over again. He can actually keep leveling up as long as his yolk isn't destroyed. Damn, this guy is like the phoenix rising from the ashes. But even without his devil fruit, Tamago is a strong swordsman who can use both armament and observation haki. And then there was also Peckhams. His devil fruit was the Kamekame no Mi, a Zoan type that let him turn into a full-on turtle, or a turtle-mink hybrid. Yeah, bro was actually like basically a ninja turtle. But this power was weak, since it didn't have any offensive abilities, and honestly, what's the point of having turtle powers if you can't use them in water? But it wasn't entirely useless. This devil fruit gave Peckhams a super tough shell around his torso, and he even said it was as hard as diamond, and his shell was so durable it could take a lot of bullets from a Gatling gun without a scratch. Even though it didn't give him any extra firepower, it wasn't a problem for Peckhams, because this guy was strong and could use Haki. Like when he knocked out Caribou, a super rookie and a Logia user with just one punch, shattering Caribou's weapon and sending him flying. On top of that, Peckhams was a member of the Mink tribe, so he was born with natural combat skills, including the ability to use Electro. Plus, when he gazed at a full moon, he could transform into his Sulong form, which boosts his power even further. Since Peckhams was a member of the Big Mom Pirates, did you notice that some of Lin Lin's children have really weak devil fruits? Take Charlotte Galette, for example. This girl ate the butter fruit, paramecia type devil fruit that lets her control butter, and this girl could literally join you and me for breakfast. Anyway, since she has Big Mom's DNA, Galette is automatically a very skilled and strong fighter. But here's where her butter power is really useful. She can use it to completely immobilize her opponents, just like when she easily captured Nami. But honestly, Galette's power is pretty mid compared to her siblings, like Charlotte Cracker, whose devil fruit, the Bisu no Mi, lets him create and control biscuits whenever he wants. When Cracker first showed up, I thought Luffy's gonna crush this guy easy. I mean, what's so scary about biscuits? But I was wrong. Cracker made his devil fruit way more dangerous than it sounds, all because of how he uses it. Every time this guy claps his hands, he can create super durable biscuits. And they're so tough that he blocked Luffy's Gear 3 like it was no big deal. Then he goes even further by reinforcing them with Haki, making them even more unbreakable. What really makes Cracker a threat is how he turns those biscuits into giant puppet soldiers. He builds their bodies with whole biscuits and uses crumbs for the arms, legs, and faces. He even arms them with weapons. Cracker's basically a one-man army. He can control these soldiers from afar, produce an endless number of them, or even hide inside one and use it as armor. Cracker might have a devil fruit that seems weak, but he's seriously strong. Still, he is not the strongest, because there are two more characters on another level, even though their devil fruits might be even weaker than Cracker's. And the first one is Charlotte Smoothie. She ate the Shiba no Mi, which lets her squeeze or drain liquid out of almost anything, whether it's a person, a volcanic rock, or even a screaming giraffe. Even though this devil fruit sounds pretty basic, her bounty was way higher than Cracker's, meaning she's definitely stronger than her brother. This devil fruit is more than just drain and squeeze. Smoothie can use it on herself too. Remember when Reiju attacked her? Smoothie just squeezed the poison right out of her body like it was nothing. The girl can also absorb all that liquid, making herself and her weapons bigger and stronger. And when she's ready to go on the offense, she can unleash that stored liquid in powerful blasts, like when she sent a massive wave flying towards the Thousand Sunny. But of course, the dog whose strength is miles above Cracker, Smoothie, and all of Big Mom's monstrous kids is our boy Katakuri. Bro ate the mochi no Mi, and since it's like food, you think it's like weak or something, you know? I mean, how in the world would a sticky dessert be useful in a fight? But Katakuri's overpowered and so creative that he turned this power into something really deadly. Since his mochi is super thick and sticky, he can easily trap the toughest enemies in it, like Luffy. Katakuri can also grow extra mochi limbs, and even make them so huge that they can grow bigger than Luffy's elephant gun. Actually, even if Katakuri didn't use his devil fruit, he's still unstoppable. Like, he can use 3 types of Haki: Armament, Conqueror, and his Observation Haki that is so advanced, bro can like seeing the future. And that's not even the exciting part. Katakuri awakened his devil fruit, which lets him turn the entire area around him into mochi. Aside from Katakuri, Doflamingo also awakened his devil fruit, the Ito no Mi. And since it's just strings, you'd think it's obviously a weak devil fruit. But Doffy turns it into something absolutely terrifying. His strings are super durable, almost like invisible wires that can slice through anything, even a massive meteor. One of the insane things about his powers is that he can create clones, attach them to clouds to make himself look like he's flying, and even control people like puppets by manipulating his strings. Doflamingo has awakened his devil fruit to the point where he can reshape his entire environment into deadly strings. And just like Katakuri, Doflamingo is also a Haki master. He's one of the few who can use all 3 types of Haki: Observation, Armament, and Conqueror's Haki. He can use his Haki to enhance his strings, making them even more dangerous, or withstand powerful attacks from guys like Luffy and Law. But did you know there's actually a devil fruit that's slightly similar to Doflamingo's? That's the Nui Nui no Mi, eaten by Leo. Both of these devil fruits are basically threads, but each has its own unique spin. So Leo's devil fruit lets him stitch things together and then unstitch them like nothing happened. I mean, seriously, how is stitching supposed to be powerful, especially in combat? With his insane speed and strength, he can stitch up his enemies in the blink of an eye. He even used this ability to defeat one of Doflamingo's top officers, Giola. Also, Leo is a dwarf. His tribe is known for their ridiculous strength. Even though they're small, they're so strong they can destroy a building. And as the captain of his own pirate crew, Leo's fighting skills are stronger than those of the other dwarves. Like Doflamingo, his brother Rosinante also had a weak devil fruit, the Nagi Nagi no Mi. Since it didn't have any flashy damage dealing power, it was considered weak. It just let him create an invisible soundproof bubble that blocked any noise from getting in or out. But Rosinante was just a pure genius with it. This power was perfect for stealth. Rosinante could move in complete silence, cancelling out any noise he or others made, making it easy to sneak up on enemies without them ever knowing he was there. One time he straight up used it to sneak past the Barrels pirates and steal the Ope Ope no Mi right out from under their noses. They didn't even know Rosinante was there. Now, while his soundproof bubble kept everything quiet, it didn't protect Rosinante from taking damage or blocking physical attacks. Maybe if it had, he might still be alive today. Aside from Doffy's brother, one of his officers also has a weak devil fruit, like Steven Tyler. Diamante. This guy ate the Hira Hira no Mi, which lets him turn himself and anything he touches into fabric, flattening and bending them like a flag in the wind. See? Weak, unless Diamante uses it on metals or other tough materials. Even though they look soft, they still keep their original strength and sharpness, making them deadly, unpredictable weapons. Diamante takes full advantage of this, using his power to confuse and outmaneuver his enemies. He can reshape his weapon or even transform his entire body into fabric. With this level of adaptability, escaping or dodging blows from his opponents is a breeze for him. Diamante is also a skilled swordsman, holding his own against strong fighters like Kairos. But there are still 11 devil fruits left to cover, and you'll be surprised by how much weaker they are compared to the devil fruits I've covered so far. Just like one of the best samurai in Wano, Kinemon has the Garb fruit, and all it does is let him turn any random junk like leaves or pebbles into clothes by putting them on someone's head, which is not exactly the kind of power you'd expect from a samurai, but perfect for the World Cosplay Summit. To make things even worse, the clothes instantly vanish the moment they get damaged or if the person wearing them decides to take them off. While this fruit isn't directly useful in a fight, Kinemon uses it to create instant disguises, helping his allies sneak around enemy lines without getting caught. Since Kinemon is such a strong samurai that even after being chopped up into pieces by the Ope Ope no Mi, his torso alone could keep up with Brook in swordsmanship, swinging 2 swords with no head, no legs, just pure skill, I guess. Kinemon is so powerful that he has a technique called the Foxfire style, where he can literally cut through fire and even easily split Kaido's bolo breath. Kinemon is the leader of the Akazaya 9. One of their former members also had a weak devil fruit, and that was Kanjuro. This traitor ate the Fure no Mi, or brush fruit, which let him draw anything that came to life. Yeah, he was like Sai from Naruto. The problem with his devil fruit is that its strength depends on how good the user is at drawing. If they suck at it, like my dad, all their creations end up really weak. But when Kanjuro revealed he was really good at drawing, the true power of the devil fruit was shown. He could use it to create giant snakes to crush enemies or birds that could fly people around. He even drew perfect lookalikes like Odin and could remotely control them. He used this illusion to trick the Akazaya. Kanjuro was also physically strong. He swung around a massive ink brush and could even coat it with haki. I can't believe he was such a good actor that he literally pretended to be a loyal Kozuki retainer for 21 years though. But did you know that even powerful organizations have weak devil fruits with strong users? Like the Marines, and especially the Revolutionary Army. One of them is Emporio Ivankov. He ate the Horu no Mi, which isn't a highly offensive devil fruit. Instead, it lets him mess around with hormones. He can inject these hormones into people, including himself, and change all sorts of things, like their gender, size, emotions, or even boost their stamina. Basically, he's like your one-stop therapist with a needle. And when he changes into a woman, her body becomes all soft and flexible, so blunt attacks don't do much to her. On top of that, he can inject others with adrenaline to keep them fighting even when they're exhausted, or boost their immune system to help them survive deadly poisons and diseases. The thing is, using this ability comes with serious side effects, like intense pain and possibly shortening that person's lifespan. Ivankov is also a high-ranking commander in the Revolutionary Army and a master of Newkama Kempo, a martial art that dominates in hand-to-hand combat. Even if his Devil Fruit had 0 DPS, he's still a strong fighter. Another member of the Revolutionary Army is Bello Betty, who's got the Kobu Kobu no Mi, a Devil Fruit that lets her boost people's morale and awaken their hidden strength. Honestly, with or without a Devil Fruit, she could awaken my hidden strength any day. Like in the Lucia Kingdom, Betty took a bunch of scared villagers and with just her words turned them into a fighting force that could take down pirates, using nothing but sticks. The only downside of this power is that it depends on the willingness of those she's trying to help. She can't force anyone to fight, she just gives them the confidence and strength to do it if they choose. On the Marine side, there's also a Devil Fruit user whose power might seem weak, but she's so strong she's considered one of the legendary figures of the Marines, like Garp and Sengoku. That's Tsuru. She has this Devil Fruit called the Woshu Woshu no Mi. Not as overpowered as Sengoku's Devil Fruit because it just lets her wash and hang people and objects like their laundry. It's not super offensive, but when she washes someone, they get flattened to the point they can't move or fight back. Plus, Oda mentioned in SBS Volume 58 that Tsuru can even scrub a bit of evil out of villains' hearts. But will that be effective against characters that are just pure evil? Like one of the members of Blackbeard Pirates, Shiryu. This guy, or maybe the whole crew, straight up killed Absalom and swiped his Suke no Mi, a Devil Fruit that turns a user invisible. And since it doesn't give its user extra strength or crazy powers, it's kinda weak. Yet I'd still take it. And so will Sanji. But Shiryu knows exactly how to use his ability to make it deadly. Before he even got the Devil Fruit, he was already a master of stealth. This guy could sneak around Impel Down without anyone noticing. He was so good that he could kill guards before they even knew what hit them. Well, I think that doesn't count because he was a former head jailer, so he probably knows like all the shortcuts in Impel Down. Since Shiryu's a swordsman and can turn invisible, he's already used his powers against strong characters like Moria and Kobe. They didn't even see him coming. Luckily for Kobe, Garp caught on and saved him. Like, I mean, is Garp's Haki so strong that, like, he can actually detect Shiryu? It's crazy. Like, is that actually possible with Haki? And there are also other ways to see him, like if Shiryu gets hit with something like water or blood, it can reveal him instantly. Speaking of Impel Down, there was one legendary pirate who was the first to escape this prison. And that guy was also one of the Rocks pirates. And he had all these insane achievements, even though he had a weak Devil Fruit. They call this guy the Golden Lion, Shiki, and he escaped Impel Down in the most brutal way by cutting off his own feet. But that wasn't a big deal for him since he had the Fua Fua no Mi, which let him float like Peter Pan, except he's banned from Neverland. This fruit might not have the raw firepower compared to other Devil Fruits, but it had its advantages. Aside from flying, he could use it to levitate anything from small objects to massive warships. He could also drop huge boulders or ships on his enemies. But aside from himself, he couldn't make living things like people or animals levitate. Only objects he had touched before. Shiki was such a top-tier swordsman that he was recognized as one of Roger's toughest rivals. And he didn't just stick to wielding swords with his hands. Shiki even made his legs into swords. Plus, when Shiki heard about Roger's execution, he rushed to Marineford, fought multiple Marines including Garp and Sengoku, and they battled until half of Marineford was destroyed. Whitebeard was also a former member of the Rocks Pirates, and when he formed his own pirate crew, he even had a member who could be considered to have a very weak Devil Fruit, and that was Blamenko. This guy had the Poke Poke no Mi, which gave him strange pockets on his body. It wasn't that powerful because it could only store things. I mean, the ladies would love this guy. But Blamenko was really strong, since his Devil Fruit could basically store huge items. Blamenko could easily wield them, like this massive mallet that was way bigger than he was. He just pulled it out of his chin pocket and even swung it through a whole group of Marines in one hit. By the way, there's another Straw Hat who also has a Devil Fruit that's kinda weak, and it's their musician, Brook. He's got the Yomi Yomi no Mi, which brought him back to life after he died. But that's pretty much all it does. Now, it is still pretty useful in certain situations. Brook can leave his skeleton body and move around as a ghost, making it perfect for sneaking around, spying, or even slipping into places his body can't fit. It's not super destructive, but Brook can still use his soul to create a cold energy that chills everything around him, including his sword. He can freeze the ground or even his enemies with just a swing of his blade. He might not be as strong as Zoro, but even without Haki, Brook's willpower is on another level. Like, he didn't back down when facing Big Mom and asked her to see her underwear. But bro should have asked like 40 years ago because Big Mom used to look like this. And you know what's nuts? Even the most elite Cypher Pole agents like CP0 have weak ass Devil Fruits, but they're still straight up monsters, like this girl Khalifa. Not that one. She ate the Awa Awa no Mi, or Bubble Bubble Fruit. The bubbles she produces aren't just regular soap bubbles. They can actually wipe away anything, even her enemy's strength, leaving them almost completely helpless. Of course, there's a downside. If you wash off the bubbles with water, their effects go away. But while they're on, Khalifa has a big advantage. She can even turn these bubbles into a giant bar of soap armor that's tough enough to take hits, like when it withstood a lightning strike from Nami's perfect climb attack, without a scratch. And since she's a Cypher Pole agent, she's a master of all Rokushiki techniques, which are the special martial arts used by the elite Cypher Pole agents. Another known member is Blueno. This big guy has a Doa Doa no Mi, or Door fruit, which lets him create doors on pretty much any surface. Like he can literally open doors on walls, floors, air, and even in your face. It's actually useful for transportation, I think, but not so much for causing damage. Blueno is still ridiculously strong though, not only a master in Rokushiki, but he can also knock out tough ops with a single punch. His speed and agility are off the charts, he can dodge punches from Luffy at close range, and Blueno's defense is top tier. His Tekkai, which hardens his body like steel, was one of the best among CP9. Luffy's Gear 2 finally got the better of him during their fight in Enies Lobby. Blueno still, though, put up a strong fight. Even though he was defeated, his strength was still acknowledged, which is why he was promoted to Cypher Pole Aegis 0, which is only one of the most powerful groups in One Piece that aren't Marines or pirates.